Ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited, highly anticipated, you'll never find them anywhere else but Whale Certified. It's called Mark Kiesewetter.
Kiesewetter. You did a good job, Kevin.
Okay. Now, the story is, once we get to know his name, we'll mention, he's got a story to tell. He's like a little diamond in the rough. And for all those people, you were like sandwiched between Chester Kowaleski and Bob Robeson.
That's correct.
Yeah. At SIU Edwardsville. I mean, man. I guess if it wasn't for St. Louis University, you would have been in the national championship all those years.
Yeah, we lost to them 2-1 in triple overtime in the regional final when I played. It was, at the time, I think it was the longest collegiate game that had ever been played. So, if not for them, we would have had a few more titles.
And, the who's who of professional soccer came from those squads, either the Billigans or the Cougars. And anybody else, everybody's a successful person that I know of.
Yeah, it's interesting that, the paths that I crossed with people that played on those teams when I was a kid and in high school and then in senior leagues, it's really remarkable. And remember, the 2 years that I played in the Bronze Boot, I think it was 25,000 one year and 20,000 the next year. I mean, we had 20,000 people at Busch Stadium. The Cardinals don't draw that now.
And under full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, you and Mike Smallwood are lawyers.
That's correct.
Successful attorneys, I may add.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, Mike's been, I've known Mike since I was a freshman in college, so.
Yeah.
And I've lived to tell.
So let's peel the onion. Where'd you go to grade school?
So I grew up in the city until I was 10 years old. My family was literally the only non-Catholic family in South St. Louis. So I grew up by Immaculate Heart of Mary. But I went to Windsor School. Then when I was 10, my parents moved to South County, and I went to Lindbergh.
Nice.
So I didn't have the traditional CYC training, but I grew up when I was in the city. I played for Southwest Kiwanis, and I played baseball and soccer, and we played against teams like the Spanish Society that had Ty Keogh.
Yeah.
Waterson, which had Neil Fredrickson, Arts Boys Clubs, Crondelet Sunday Morning Athletic Club. So yeah, we played down at Crondelet Park, and so that's how I got my baptism into both soccer and baseball. Honestly.
Nice. So you have a little bit of a background with Chester, with baseball and soccer, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Because people say he was a better pitcher than he was a goalkeeper, and he was a Hall of Fame goalkeeper.
Yeah, and I also played on the team with Tim Twellman. We played both baseball and soccer on the same team.
Wow, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
They had the Twellman brothers, man.
Right.
Yeah. So there you go, man. Lindbergh, you were there a minute before they went into a final or a high school final.
So when I was at Lindbergh, I'll give you the full disclosure. So I went out for the soccer team as a freshman. I made the JV team, and our coach, who never had coached soccer, there were 23 players on the team, and all he did every practice was scrimmage. He hadn't coached soccer. I never even practiced. I was the person who had to sit out, and all I would do would be kick the ball against the fence. But anyway, so by the time I was a sophomore, I had grown a foot. I'd gone from 5 foot to 6 foot. I'd gone from 100 pounds to 170 pounds. And I went out for soccer again, and this time I made the varsity team as a defender. So I was on the team as a defender and a forward as a sophomore, and I got a little playing time. I remember getting into a game at Riverview Gardens. 2 minutes after the game, after I got in the game, a giant brawl broke out in the game, and the game was canceled. And I was looking for the other smallest guy on the field to grab while the brawl was going on. But anyway, as a junior, I was playing forward at that time, and we got to the middle of the season. Our number one goalie couldn't play because of grades. Brian, what was his name? McKenna. And the second goalie got kicked in the head during practice. Some people thought it was intentional, but I'm not sure. And so we didn't really have a goalie, and the coach came to me and said, look, I know you goof around and you play when we play inside in the gym in the goal. He goes, you want to try to play goal? And I said, sure, that's fine. So it kind of took off, and I got into I started in goal one game before we went into the state tournament when I was a junior. And we ended up winning our district, and we went all the way to the Final Four, and we lost to St. Mary's in the semifinals. So I had no idea what I was doing. We had a tremendous defensive team. For example, I think we won, you know how you can remember the games you played. I think in our district we beat Melville 1-0, Vianney 1-0. We played Kirkwood that had Kevin Hanlon. They got a penalty kick. Kevin Hanlon took the penalty kick. I had never faced a penalty kick in a game, and he just hammered it right through me. But we ended up winning 2-1 in overtime. Then we went to the district final. We played DeSmet at Pattonville. We beat them 1-0. So I had 3 shutouts out of 4 games in the state tournament. So I was like, wow, I guess I kind of found my niche here. We ended up losing to St. Mary's. They had Hank Grafe in goal. That was a tremendous team they had.
Wow, yeah.
So then the next year, when I was a senior, I was a full-time goalie, and we won our conference, but we ended up losing in the district final to DeBerg on a play that I still claim is offsides. I believe it was Jeff Cacciatore was offside, but they didn't call it, so we ended up losing the game, although we were 14-3 that year, and I had 12 shutouts. So anyway, that was the extent of the high school career. So I really only had 2 years playing goalkeeper in high school with really no idea what I was doing. Plus, as you know, we used to play in the winter, so it was brutal. I mean, the fields were terrible and the weather was terrible, but you just played anyway.
And that's why you're well certified, Mark.
There you go.
Yeah, baby. I mean, there it is. You still remember like it was yesterday.
Oh, no doubt about that.
Yeah, man. And hats off to you. And you didn't play so you couldn't develop bad habits.
That's really true because so then after high school, I was all set to go to Mizzou. I was going to go to Mizzou. Actually, I thought about trying to walk onto the baseball team because I played baseball for 3 years at Lindbergh, and but I got a call from Bob Gelker in June. Would I consider coming over there and talking to them about playing sports over there? They didn't have any soccer scholarships left, but would I play on a baseball scholarship and still play soccer? And I was like, sure, that's fine. So anyway, when I went to SIU in the fall of '73, and Chester was the main goalie, and Tony Giamanco and I were the two backups. I had no idea what to do, and fortunately, I had Rick Benben, who was my goalie coach, who basically taught me everything from scratch. Which, I mean, really, it's just stuff that you still know today, that how to do it and how to work in the goal. And he was fantastic, because we had Bob Gelker, Pat McBride, and Rick Benben were the coaches, which was a phenomenal coaching staff.
Yeah, with the goalkeeping. And Rick, he taught me how to play goal, too.
Yeah.
That if you fall on the ice in the snow, you know how to land properly so you don't get really injured.
Exactly, right. Yeah. How to fall on the frozen ground and not hurt yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was always something funny. They would have a bar, some sticks with a bar across. All right, I want you to die. You want me to do what? Get what?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And he said, well, you learn how to fall first, and then you're able to get the fear of diving. It doesn't hurt.
Exactly. That's right. You learn how to fall on the side of your arm and your thigh, and like I said, I had no training whatsoever, but I couldn't have had a better teacher.
Yeah, and if you want an expert witness for because you're an attorney, for a case or anything, you can always call on Whale Certified.
All right, will do.
All right. So there you go. Now, and Tony, I mean, anybody that would have saw the guy would have said, wait a minute, has he ever played soccer before?
Right.
And then once he starts playing and making saves, you say, holy cow, can you beat the guy?
Right.
And then, and Chester was such a, he was the standard at the time there.
Yeah, Chester was very smooth, and he had really good technique too. And what was interesting about that year was we started off the season, and first of all, I was thrilled that we were playing soccer in the fall, so it wasn't wasn't freezing. But we started off that year, and we had I think it was 13 consecutive shutouts to start the season. And so Chester hadn't allowed a goal the entire time. Well, periodically we'd be in a game, and we'd be up 2 or 3 or 4 to nothing, and Coach Gelker would put either me or Tony in the game, and I was like, you got to be kidding me! I can't allow a goal, because we got the shutout streak going, and so that was always kind of nerve wracking. But that that's what you are as a keeper. You have to manage the pressure as much as anything else, because you literally cannot make a mistake. So, but anyway, we ended up, the first goal we allowed was in the bronze boot, because we lost that year 1-0. And that was the first goal we had allowed, and it was, November. So, but anyway, that was an eventful year, because, I learned a lot, and I got to back up Chester and watch how he handled everything, because he was a first-class guy.
Who was your back line at the time?
So let me think. That year, we had, I think Tom Galati was still there. We had Steve Elliott. There was John Schafering, Smallwood. So yeah, and they were a super good defensive team. They really they knew how to play defense, and they were solid.
Yeah, and it just goes to show that, at that time, they had enough confidence in you to put you in.
Right. Yeah. Looking back on it, I'm not sure I believe that, but then So then the second year, my sophomore year, it was just me and Tony, because Chester had graduated. So Coach Gelker always rotated us. I started the game, and I played the first half, and then Tony played the second half. And we did that for quite a long time. And I have to confess, and this will, I'm sure, come up. I didn't always have the greatest attitude in the games, and I wasn't the most coachable person, being a goalie. Sometimes I would act up. So I remember we were going to go play Air Force Academy the first game, and Coach Gelker was like, "Look, these guys we were going to Colorado to play. I mean, they're going to be in tremendous shape. They're fit. You know, we have to really step up our fitness." And so some guy chipped me on a ball, and they scored but we ended up winning 6-1. And I remember Coach Gelker saying, "Well, you know, you shouldn't have allowed that goal." And I said, "Well, we won 6-1. I mean, come on. I mean, you know, the guy made an amazing shot." So, but anyway, Tony and I did that the whole season until the bronze boot game when, remember, we had never won the bronze boot game. SIU had never won it. And at halftime, we were winning 1-0. Mark Moran had scored for us. And Coach Gelker, I had shut him out in the first half, and I was playing very well, and he decided to leave me in for the second half. And I ended up getting a 1-0 shutout. So I have that honor and distinction of having the first win over St. Louis U for SIU.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you kept one eye open at night for Tony Giamacco to come over and...
Correct, right. Well, you know, he and I were actually roommates.
Cut it out.
So, yeah, I really kept an eye open. No question about that.
Oh, man. I mean to tell you, wow.
Yeah.
What a year that was.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
So take me into the playoffs.
So we went in so that year we let me think. Our first game, I think we played. I think we played Western Illinois. Or Northern Illinois. I'm sorry, we won, and then I can't remember who we won the second game, but then we came up against SLU in the regional final, and that was the game. It was over at SIU. It was right around Thanksgiving. It might have been the day after Thanksgiving. And Coach Gelker had let me play the whole game. So, and like I said, we played. It was 1-1. At some point in the first half, I think there was a corner kick. There was a shot. I went to dive. I wasn't really sure how far I was from the post. I dove right into the post with my head and knocked myself out. And so when I came to, they were over me like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I didn't know this, but my mom was in the stands, and my mom, you know, God rest her soul, said to my dad, "It's only his head. He'll be fine." So, I played the rest of the game. You know, today's world, I would have gone out with a concussion. But anyway, we played 90 minutes, then we played 45 minutes. Not sudden death. Then we started playing sudden death, and I think we went either 20 or 30 something minutes after that. And Denny, who was it that I can't remember his name, but anyway, I got beat on a shot. I dove, said it was a breakaway. I saved it. Greg Mikowski was down the field. He didn't get back, so I still blame him for that.
Oh.
But anyway, I dove. I got a hand on it, and I was laying there, and I saw it rolling, and it hit the post, and the posts were square, and hit the inside and went in. You know, if the posts were round, I don't think it would have gone in. But anyway, we might still be playing if that hadn't gone in. I was totally exhausted. I remember laying there on the field, and I got up and I talked to both Harry Keogh and Miguel de Lima. You know, remember Miguel was the goalie coach for SLU, and he was like, "Listen, you played an amazing game, and, you know, you got to be proud of that." So,
wow.
Anyway, if we had won, we would have gone to Miami for the Final Four, but we didn't. So,
Yeah. And, you know, all those players, you know, they always, you know, kind of won all the time. And then to, you know, that worldwide of sports, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
right.
I mean, mamma mia, baby. And it's a true hats off to you, bro, is that here you go. You come from nowhere. You come, like, you're a brand new item. People don't know you, this, that. They don't know your weaknesses, strengths. and you're playing in the top game in the country at that time, maybe one or two others. But my God, that's really you're talking about a baptism with fire. Holy cow! Way to go, Mark.
I know you remember this, but back in the day, then the rules were totally different. Because you'd get the ball as a goalie, the people could harass you. They could come right up and stand by you.
Oh, they sure did. Yeah.
You couldn't move the ball very far, and so a lot of times you had to try to distribute the ball with a guy right on you.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a totally different game than they play today. Because now I look at these guys like Emmanuel Neuer, who can play out of the goal and all of that, which is fabulous. But we were really limited. I remember because I'm left-footed, left-handed, and I had to learn how to kick with my right foot, to punt with my right foot, because people would come up when you had the ball and they'd stand on the left side, so you couldn't really get around them. I mean, I know you remember this. It was It was kind of crazy when you think about it in today's game, but that's just the way it was.
Yeah. Like, once again, if you need an expert witness, I'm your man.
Yeah.
So here it goes, is that I was told referee would say, listen, if you give a little head fake over here and go over there, I'll call it. I said, okay, because there had been a couple times when I threw out the ball and the guy was right there, it hit off the back of his head into the goal.
Right. Yeah, right. I hear you.
And everybody but my mother said, what's wrong with that guy?
Yeah, I remember one time we were playing in the mud. This was when I was in high school over at Afton. And it was so muddy, I went to kick the goal kick, and I slipped. And I kicked the ball like 10 feet, and the guy put it right in the net. And I was like, what in the heck? So, yeah, I was happy to see when soccer went to a fall sport.
Yeah, he's passed, but Rob Valero, that's how the Billikens lost the final that year.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I played against Rob,
Yeah. I mean, that was really something, slipping against Howard at the stadium. So, yeah. So that was a really something to behold. And so you go with all that. Now, did you know that they knew that you were the last one to know that there was no more afterwards? Or
well, I knew they were going to bring in Robeson, and I knew he was. I kind of figured that again, I had done some things when I was in school. I can't say I did enjoy I did enjoy partying, and so that wasn't always met with favor by the coaching staff. Mike Smallwood and I used to have the adjoining room with the coaches on the road games. So anyway, so I decided that after 2 years I was going to leave, and I decided to go back and do what I was going to do before, and I went to Mizzou. And I left soccer, and I was like, I can't say I was really burnt out. I mean, I did play two sports all year round, so I was kind of burnt out on that whole playing sports thing. And then in baseball, at SIU, I rarely ever got to play because the coach figured I was a soccer player, and he didn't really want to play me. He let me pitch one or two games. I was a pitcher and outfielder. I could throw super hard, but I had no control. So, like, for example, one game I started, I struck out the first 7 batters of the game with nothing but fastballs. And Bobby Gallagher was my catcher, and he kept saying, wow, this is amazing. And so, but anyway, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go to school. I'm going to go to school and figure out how to go to school. I'm going to forget about sports for a while. But what's interesting is when I got to Mizzou, after I had sat out a year and really hadn't done anything, I ran into some guys that played on the club soccer team down there, and they were like, hey, you know what? We know you. Why don't you come out and play on the team? And I was like, well, this sounds pretty casual and great. So I started going to the practices, and then I got on the team there. And, it was low pressure. If you could make practice, you could. If you couldn't, you couldn't. If you had other stuff, nobody cared. But we had a really tremendous team there. We had 3 or 4 people that had been all-state in soccer and were on the team. And so, for example, the one year, I guess it had to be 1979. I was in school there, and I decided, when we were playing Merrimack, who was coached by Pat McBride at that time. And I saw Pat before the game, and he was telling our coach, that guy can't play. There's no way he still has eligibility. And our coach was an Englishman. He was an English medical school professor. He goes, listen, mate. He goes, this is a club team. We don't have no eligibility requirements. So anyway, we beat Merrimack and we beat Flow Valley. We beat Flow Valley in '81, the year they won the national title. We beat them 2-1 at Flow Valley. So, we had a really, really solid team, and honestly, it was great fun and playing. But I'll give you another little tidbit here. So, in 1979, after that season, the people in Columbia were trying to get indoor soccer down there, and they invited a team to come down there from St. Louis and play us. It was the Budweiser Stars, and we played them in an ice rink down there on a turf field.
Yeah, right.
And Steve Sullivan, they had some good players on the team. Anyway, I shut them out 4-0 in the indoor game, and somehow they got wind of this. Pat McBride got wind of this, and he invited me to come and try out for the original Steamers team. So I went to St. Louis and did the tryout for the team, and that was before they had Slobo, and I think I might have made the team, except on the second to last day, Pete Calico hit a shot at me, which, he could shoot super hard, and he was about 10 feet away, and it totally sprained my wrist to where I think I probably would have been better off. I would have broken it, and so that was kind of the end of that. So anyway, I continued to play on the club team while I was in law school, and I enjoyed that. And then I used to play in the senior league in St. Louis, and I played with a group of guys called the Residents, and the Honorable John Newsham was on my team there.
Oh.
I used to drive in and play in the games on Sundays at Forest Park, and then drive back to Columbia. So, just how it is. You love the game. You can't. It's hard to give up the game, and I tried to hang on as long as I could.
Well, what was the name of that special Scholar Champions with the Honorable John Newsham? What is that?
The name of the team that we played on?
Yeah.
It was called the Residents. The one guy he said, I get mail addressed to Resident. So, and we had a guy on our team, Jim Conway, who was an artist, and he did our jerseys, like hand drew them, and they were very unusual. But anyway, it was a lot of fun.
Oh man, would you play at Aviation Field?
Oh yeah, we played right there, and I remember one of my favorite stories about that time is we were in a you know how those games were. So we were in a game, we were tied, and it was like, okay, the game's going to be a tie, and the last minute of the game, some guy in their team comes in, our center back took him out. I don't think he was in the area, but the referee said he was in the area. So I went up, the referee calls for a PK. There's no time left on the clock. And I said to the ref, I go, he wasn't in the area. And he started arguing with me. And so he goes, just get in the goal. So then I get in the goal, and the guy takes the shot, and I stopped it. And he said, the referee looks at me, goes, you moved early. And that's when I said, well, why don't you just give him the game? And I actually said a couple of other words in there around give him the game. And he said, well, you are now red carded, and you have to get in your car and leave. So anyway, but that's how that league was. But again, Wales, it was fun because it was the same guys you played with and against really your whole life. That's how St. Louis soccer is. I mean, that's the great thing about it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Man, what an incredible story. Wow. So you got it. You got any rocks? You got any stories underneath the rocks around here? Did you say it all?
Well, I had. I have to say, I had. I still kept playing. I played in the over 50 national tournament. We went there a few years ago. But anyway, I still kept my hand in the game because I had 3 kids. I've been blessed with 3 kids, a girl and 2 boys, and my 2 boys were both soccer players. My older son played at Bush. I got to coach him there, and so anyway, I remember at a time, and every year the guys from Mizzou, we would get together and go down to play in the Show Me games. And I remember one time I was getting ready to go to the Show Me games. Okay, so my son was 16. That means I was probably 48, 49. And I said, well, why don't you take me up to the Y and work me out before I go to the Show Me games. So at the time, he was playing at SLU High, and we went up there, and for a half hour, he took shots at me. I had about 5 balls, and he was taking shots at me, and I didn't save one of them. I was in the corner over my head, curving around here, and I was like, I didn't save one of them. And then by the time I got to the Show Me games, I was like, wow, these guys are like old like me, so they can't shoot the ball nearly as well as he could. So I was fine facing those people. So
right.
Anyway, playing goalie, it's a brotherhood. That's everybody who's done it knows, and everybody has their own tricks and their things they like to do. A couple things that I like to do, and I try to, it's your hand positioning, it's how you dive, it's how you. I used to make a little mark in the chalk line on the 18-yard box in the center of the goal, so that if I was backing up, I could look up and see where that was. I did to turn around and look at the goal.
Yeah.
And that little things like that, and I always tried to mimic however far down the field my team was with the ball, that's where I was in the goal box. So in other words, if we were down at the other end, I was on the edge or outside of the edge, or if they were close, I was in the goal because I didn't want to get beat over the top.
Right.
The little tricks and things you learn about how I had a coach one time tell me, like on a corner kick, they put a guy on you. As soon as the ball is kicked, you throw him to the ground. Because the referee's going to be looking at the ball, not at you.
Yeah.
They're never going to know you threw him to the ground. You throw him to the ground, and then you can go get the ball. So that's my tip of the day.
Yeah, right. Yeah, man. That was like the thing was, there's only one, the ball or the person, the ball or the player, but not both at the same time. Oh.
One or the other, no way both pass. That's the way.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Right. That's exactly right.
But I got a little something, I'll send it to you, is that we used to do that with the dirt and everything. Well, now with the AstroTurf, it's a whole new thing. But if you know the territory, you put your dots at the territory, and there you are.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so here we go. What a pleasure, man. After 400 plus episodes at Wales Certified, you come along, and baby, you get it. You are Newsham's buddy in Smallwood. Man, that's a conversation I like to be a fly on the wall.
Have you interviewed Judge Newsham?
Oh, the man is legendary.
Have you interviewed Mr. Smallwood?
The man is legendary.
Okay, all right.
All right. So the story comes out is that we wrap it up. Is that we say, hey, Mark, whatever you want to say to who you ever want to say it to for as long as you want to say it for. This is your opportunity.
Wales, listen, I really appreciate you spending some time with me today. I just want to give a shout out to my wife, Cheryl, my 3 kids, Elizabeth, Michael, and Thomas, and their kids, because now I'm a grandpa, and sons-in-law, daughters-in-law, Austin and Molly and Lindsay and Noah, Annie, and Walter. So anyway, I really appreciate you taking some time chatting with me today. And good to reminisce on this stuff. Some of it I had to sit down and think about it because, the memory's a little foggy from the years past, but we'll keep at it as long as we can, Wales.
Yeah, and you're so very humble, you would have said, everybody. But you let it out for us all. And, once again, if you need an expert witness to tell your grandchildren, no, your papa really did it. So
yeah,
but
awesome.
Yeah, but congratulations to you. You may not have been an All-American there, but you're an All-American at home, man. Everybody really enjoys you.
Listen, I appreciate it, Wells. Thanks so much for your time.
All right. And so we all know when you're going in front of Judge Newsom, you're going to win the case, baby.
There you go. Right.
All right. So you've been Wales certified, and I now have put you in the Wales Certified Hall of Fame.
Awesome.
Yes, and almost anybody can be Wales certified if they try. And you certainly tried. Way to go, Mac. Way to go, Mark.
Thanks so much. Kevin, have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye now.